and it's their intrinsic
And then, this food basically robs.
sound feasible, sound like it was threatened with this whole act. So they had large amounts of land taken away from them so that the colonists could develop on them. And Native Americans in certain parts was pushed into certain areas, kind of sort of what they do to black people. And eventually a lot of them died out. They couldn't really sustain themselves having a little bit of land that they had. They couldn't live that way. They was used to having a lot of land. They was used to, working their cattle and growing their food, their vegetation a certain way. And when the land was taken, a lot of them was forced to try to basically modernize. So you had a lot of Native Americans coming into the towns and the cities to try to learn skills and get jobs and do stuff like that. And this is where you start seeing those old photographs of homeless Native Americans in towns and cities because they couldn't make it. They couldn't fit into that whole culture. I mean, you take a people that's spiritual people living in the wild and try to domesticate them or try to make them, like you when they're not supposed to be, then this is what happens. But we already know some other Indians were smart and they had a little skill and they made a lot of money off of their knowledge and, stuff that they knew. But I know a lot of people might look at this and say, well, I think you're wrong about the whole Native Americans double crossing other Native Americans. But listen, I mean, it's something you have to just seriously ask yourself and look at. And it's common sense. How? We see the movies, cowboys and Indians, millions of Native Americans slaughtered. So you have the colonists having the Native Americans as their enemy, right? How is it that if the Native Americans are their enemies, that they end up with guns, lots of guns, not just guns, but with slaves? So if they're your enemy, why would you sell them guns? How can you sell them guns? How can you give them slaves to help your enemy against you? Who are they going to shoot with those guns if the slaves are slaves? The only people who they can shoot is you. The only reason why you would sell them guns or give them slaves is if they are on your side. And that's common sense. Again, and people don't want to look at this. If you had millions of Native Americans slaughtered, yet your whole notion is to enslave people, to build, to use slave labor in the South. We know how much the South loves slaves. If it's not about black and white, what I keep hearing from white people, you're race baiting, you keep making it about race. No, I'm telling you the facts, the history. If it's not about black people and oppressing specifically black, African, why not enslave those millions of so-called Native Americans who you claim was here? Why not enslave them instead of wasting the time of bringing millions of Africans back and forth across the Atlantic, back and forth, between Haiti and, South America and everything like that, to get them to America? Why go through all that when you can clearly kill the primitive Native Americans because you claim you killed millions of them? Why not enslave them instead? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. So by that logic, when you start looking at the facts, you can see clearly the people who they're talking about wasn't these Native Americans, but the African tribes who are documented and who are proven to have already been here. The reason why a lot of those tribes was wiped out was because they was black. It's just that simple. Most of them were enslaved. A lot of them was wiped out. A lot of them fought back and was killed. And, people who debate this whole thing, who don't want to accept the truth and the facts, I mean, you can't argue with the proof. There's too much proof out there now. There's too many people who have proven this fact, and there's too much evidence and facts to support everything that I'm saying here. You can ask Native American tribes themselves who are not black, who the true Native Americans are, the ones who they tell you are the true Native Americans, but still can be considered Native Americans, just not before us, because they were also here before Columbus and before the colonists, as I'm going to get into in a little bit. But you have to understand, we were here long before them. And the whole thing is, when you start getting into the information and You're going to go back, and what you're going to find is this. This is basically, because I'm not even going to get too deep into this whole thing because there's no reason to. It's no brainer. It's common sense. Go read a book, pick up a book, and just Google this shit, and you can figure this whole thing out. I'm not even going to get too deep into it. But what you're going to find is this. You're going to find that, as I said, when you had the whole out of Africa thing happen, and of course we know, even if they don't want to accept the out of Africa theory, we know that Africans migrated out of Africa at some point. Let's just all agree on that. And when you had those Africans start migrating over to Asia and into Australia, you have the Aboriginal. And what you'll find is these Aborigines basically sailed from Australia to Africa, and then from Africa to the Americas, to South America. And we know this because right where they left off from, we find cave art of depictions, drawings of boats dating over, 50,000 years. We're also going to find that later the ancient Egyptians, as Herodotus attests to as being seafaring people, we know that they were coming back and forth between the Americas because when they found out of the mummies, they found plants and ingredients that can only be found in the Americas in the stomachs. They talk about Ramses III when they found his body. They found like cocaine in his body and fruits and plants that can only be found in Central America, South America, found in his body and with his remains. And they found stuff that can only be found in America. So they know for a fact that the ancient Egyptians were going back and forth from the Americas to Egypt. And we know about the Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon and everything like that, as I'll get into in the Saturn Satan series. So, it's just so much proof everywhere. So now the $1 million question, and what a lot of people do not ask, is what exactly were these so-called Native Americans? When you look at them, a lot of people say they look like Mexicans. But this goes back into the Aboriginal people coming from Australia. When they came over into South America, came up through South America into the Americas. So when we start coming into the Americas, we have basically later on, there was a blockage between Alaska, Canada, and Northern America. It was an ice blockage, and a lot of researchers talk about this and attest to this, that there was an ice blockage between Alaska, Canada, and Northern America that melted. And what you had was the Eskimos, or the people with the mongoloid skull shape, which is what we see in Asians. Asians have the mongoloid skull shape. Japanese, Chinese, Korean, what have you, mongoloid skull shape. You have these people start coming into the Americas, and they made it with the Aboriginal people coming from Australia. So this is where you get your Native American from. This is why they look like that. When you go look up the mongoloid skull shape, you will see that you have Eskimos and you see the Native Americans fall within that mongoloid skull shape, proving the fact that this is what happened. You had the Eskimos mate with the Aboriginals or the Africans from Australia to give us the Native Americans who they talk about. But you still had pure Africans there, not just from the Aboriginal Australian, but from the Egyptians coming over and the Africans coming over to America. Now, Africans, we have all skull shapes. We have brachycephalic, dolichocephalic, mongoloid. And when they don't find either of these, when they find someone who doesn't have, distinct mongoloid skull or dolichocephalic or brachycephalic skull shape, then they say it's a negroid. Oh, well, it's a negroid skull. It's a negroid because, mongoloid has the rocking. Mongoloid, lays flat when you put the skull shape down. Dolichocephalic and brachycephalic have movement. And we know about the so-called negroid, distinctly African skull shape. We know we have a protruding mouth. If I turn to the side, you can see my mouth pokes out. And this is another way that when they trace lineage back, they can look and see. When you look at Haru M. Aket, the Sphinx, you see how the mouth, how it protrudes out, showing that true African, feature. When you couple that with the nose shape and the lips and everything like that. You know, you get straight up African. It's 100% African, you can tell. And they call it Negroid. But we have all skull shapes. We have all facial features. A lot of people don't want to accept that. We come in all different colors and shades. We are everything. Everything comes from us. I mean, people say, oh, well, how come, we don't have the same, we have different facial features from white people. When you look at the Africans from Ethiopia and Somalia, you can see clearly some of them have thin noses, they have thin lips. Not all of us have, big noses and huge lips. We come in different shapes, different sizes, different facial features, different skull shapes. You can't put us in one bracket and just say, this is African, when we have everything. Everything comes from us. Now, I understand why, white people get so patriotic about the thought of America, the whole notion of America, about people fighting for this country and, fighting wars and all the people who died and, everything about, what makes America America, fighting for the freedom of the people. I can understand how people can think that is noble, that has honor to it, that's some kind of good thing, that's something that's right and true. But all of you forget and just completely don't acknowledge the fact that millions of people died and were enslaved so you could be patriotic about a country that is not yours. So you could be happy and thankful and celebrate once a year, twice a year about a country that is not yours in front of the people who it actually belongs to, and then put them down in the meantime. I mean, this is what you are not accepting. And imagine somebody breaking into your home and killing your entire family, then enslaving you for about 20 years. They get rich off of your enslavement. They buy multiple houses all over. Then when you get free after those 20 years and you try to do something to get some kind of, to be made whole for what has happened to you and your family, to just try to get back on your feet, you are told no. You got to go out and get it yourself. But they do little slick shit so that you can't get to where they are at because they took your country, took your home, killed your family. You can't get to where they at. They got houses in abundance. When you ask for one, they say, no, go get your own. Then you have to sit around and watch them every year celebrate and get emotional and teary-eyed about your house that they took from you. Think about that. This is what we go through. We not looking for the moon. We asking for what's right. That's all we ever ask for. What is right? Acknowledge who we are. That this is ours. Give us what's right. Now you can look at it from a point of conquest and say that, well, it's survival of the fittest. We took y'all shit. Get over it. Shut the fuck up. You can look at it from that standpoint and just say that. But that's not even being humane. You can't say that and then condemn what we do as people. You can't say, get over it. It's conquest. Shut the fuck up. And then condemn us when we go out here and sell drugs and kill each other and everything like that, even though it's wrong as well. I mean, you can't say that and then go save the animals and protest against this and protest against that. It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. So all the stuff that, you see people doing demonstrations and fighting and marching over stuff that it's not killing people, that really makes no sense. But we can't get the same kind of support for, African people. I'm not talking about the whole Black Lives Matter movement and people that's marching for us, the white people that's marching. It's deeper than that. Because as I said, the whole Black Lives Matter shit is a scam to me. I think it's just something created to mislead black people and lead us into the wrong direction and make us look worse than we already look. Them going out and setting fires and rioting and destroying shit is not a good look for black people. So I honestly think that shit is a setup. I'm with the whole slogan, Black Lives Matter. I understand what it means. It's deceptive for a reason. And I think it's deceptive to cause controversy. But it's right. And it's controversial. And it's supposed to cause controversy. But Black Lives Matter. And that's all it's saying. It's saying, hey, we know all lives matter, but this is not what we're seeing because we're not seeing everybody get killed. I get that. I get all that. But we're not getting the support where it really counts. So when you have black people step up and start talking about reparations and getting made whole and, things that should be done for us because we are still feeling the effects of slavery and because we had so much taken from us and we don't get that support. You get white people that say, hell no, because they feel like if that happens, we are going to somehow surpass them or they're going to lose power here in America when we're not here to gain power. We have never tried to gain power and control over the entire planet. You won't find that in our history. You will only find us sharing and doing things the correct way based off of nature, not based off material. I mean, when you go and you start doing the research and you look at everything, especially when you start seeing the fact that we had kingdoms in Africa, that we had civilizations here in America before they was conquered. We talk even when you go and just look in the 16th century, when you look at the whole Songhai Empire that had the legal structure and colleges and everything like that before they was conquered and enslaved. The Mali dynasty, as I said before, where were the Arab Muslims when these civilizations were conquered? Why didn't they come to their aid and help them fight off the Europeans and keep them from being enslaved? Where were they? So this is why I always talk against religion, because no religion has ever saved us. If you believe it did, you are delusional. Where were these people? We've never been saved by a religion. We have only been enslaved under them. That's a fact. So, when you look at this stuff and you start looking at everything and seeing that we had all this history, it reminds me of Lord of the Rings. And I say that because when you look at the whole Lord of the Rings series and you look at, the Shire where the hobbits live, or Minas Tirith, and it's as if, Sauron won. Sauron won. The orcs conquered Minas Tirith, enslaved everybody, killed all the hobbits in the Shire, and just basically took over. And everybody fucking orcs right now, not realizing it. That land before the orcs took over belonged to the hobbits and to, the elves or the dwarves or what have you. That's how I see it when I start reading about that history or our history. The bad guy has won. And now it's so long ago that we don't see, what happened and who really owned what. Everybody is just content with the conquest. We are a conquered people in a land that belongs to us. And everything that we have is copied and stolen and passed off as our conquerors' accomplishments. So when I say to white people to look at the theft of what we had and start paying attention to everything. I mean, even when you look at our culture today, even though it's a hip hop culture and it was basically given to us, we made it what it is. We took it to that level because we thought it was us. We embraced it and we made all kinds of cool shit out of it. And it's still copied to this day, from the hairstyle to the clothes, to the way white people walk and talk, to talk shows. I mean, just look at talk shows in the 90s and the early 80s and look at them today. They sound like us, the lingo. We made them who they are. As I said before desegregation, white people was Happy Days. The coolest white dude was the Fonz, Henry fucking Winkler. I mean, come on. That was y'all coolest guy. Until integration happened and y'all start mixing with us and seeing how cool we was and how we are. It's something about us when we put out something, it connects. Not just here in America, but you can see it in Africa as well. They dancing in the street and almost living that hip hop culture a little bit. You have the whole Afro beats going on in Europe, and the music is banging, and they respect women in their music. They have good hip hop music, but it's called Afro beats. And it's not getting the support it should get. And y'all not hearing it over here because I barely hear it here and people don't know about these songs. But when I was in Sweden, thinking that they listened to Jay-Z and Beyonce and all that, they listen to Afro beats. Go to Europe, go to Germany and stuff like that. You're not going to find American music as much. You're not going to find hip hop as much as you think. It's there, but what dominates the radio, what dominates these systems in these European countries is Afro beats. I'm telling you from experience. These guys is good, and the music is good, and it's music that you can dance to, and it's respectful, good music. It's clean music. and it's talking about something. Even the black Swedish rappers who got skills in Sweden, it's sick. They got skills and they rapping in this hip hop, but it's respectable, good music, and it's proof that we can do this. So, when you look at everything, you can see our culture being mimicked, being copied. I mean, they even going as far as going into ancient Egypt and using a solution to remove the black skin from the hieroglyphics. I mean, you can see it clearly everywhere you turn. The theft of African culture and even, our hip hop culture that we have here in America. They're stealing it, they're copying it, they're making money off of it more than us. It's just that simple. Somebody was just putting out a video about how the highest rated African American TV shows, the actors are getting paid less than white actors. How you have Empire, which I completely hate and don't think we should watch. You have the actors and they're getting paid less, having the highest rated TV show, getting paid less than white actors. I mean, I don't care about that. They sellouts anyway. They should get paid less. But still, it's just another, white supremacist move that we see in America, and it's everywhere. But I want people to look back and understand and ask the question to themselves, why? What is it? What is it about African people that it seems like they copy? They must, for some reason, copy, and in the meantime, destroy the true people who it belongs to. And this is what we are seeing, and we are seeing them copy us, and we are seeing everything. It's not like we sitting back and making this shit up. I mean, it's right in your face. For thousands of years, when you start looking back at the history of Europeans, you don't see nothing but conquest. This is all you see. You see them basically commit genocide against people, destroy and conquer and move on. This is what you see. Now, as a European, as a white person, you have to look at this and understand what it is and decide to either embrace that and say that you agree with that and be a part of it, and just say, well, it's just conquest and we was just taking what, doing what we felt we needed to do and what have you, or look at it from a moral standpoint of right and wrong and say that, I don't agree with this stuff and, it's wrong. And if you do that, matter of fact, you don't even really have to do that, because that shit don't matter. That shit happened a long time ago, but it's, your racist legacy. It's just that simple. You can agree with it or disagree with it. So you don't even have to look at that. That shit happened. It's over with. Look at what's taking place today and what it led up to, because this is where you can actually make a difference at, and you can see, what's going on. It's leading to something, and I'm not sure, Europeans are ready to accept what it's leading to. They think it's going to benefit them, but you can see clearly that it's not going to benefit you. It's benefiting a group. You're just getting the benefit of it because you happen to be within that race, and they're using that to deceive you. And, I think a lot of people agree with that. That's European, because I get the messages as well. And it's something you got to accept. But the whole question and the notion about who is here in the Americas, come on, we're not even really going to get into it. I have had people request me to do a video on it. And this is why I made this video, but I want you to just not even really think about it, because it's not even hard to find the information on it. And don't feed into what people are saying when it comes to that subject. I mean, it's just common sense. I laugh at it like, you serious? When we have all this proof, when we have the bodies and the remains, when we have all the documentation to prove we was here. Don't even feed into somebody saying that we wasn't, because you're talking to an angry person who don't want to accept facts. And as I said, I can tell you 1 + 1 is 2, but you have to accept that. You have to accept that it's 2. You might not want to accept it. You can say, no, it's not 2 to me. It's 9 to me. I don't care what you say. 1 + 1 is 9. It's up to them to accept the truth or not. You don't have to push it on nobody or what have you. The truth is going to be the truth. When they're ready to accept it, it's going to be right there for them. If they want to live in a lie, let them live in a lie. It's just that simple. But, I wanted to do this video, get this information out there, and just get it, a video of me actually talking about this and get it out so people can understand, the information that I have come to find in this subject, that it's a no-brainer. We were here before anybody. It's common sense. But it's not even about that. What's the deeper part to this whole thing is the theft of our accomplishments. And that's what people need to look at and understand why we have not yet been given our just due. And, you know, you get people who say, well, we got Obama. Obama's the leader. Obama. And these people don't realize that a president doesn't run anything. So Obama is supposedly our consolation prize or what have you, when he has done nothing for, you know, black people here in America since he has become president. He hasn't taken up any of our needs or helped us with any of these problems that we are facing with the police. So how can we have an African American president and be being killed by cops? I think it's embarrassing. So no, whatever. But yeah, wanted to do this video, and I want to thank everybody who purchased the Metu Nature DVD or who downloaded the video. That's a deep series. I got a lot of good positive reviews about it. I know part 2 is going to really get into it much deeper, but that first one was pretty deep, and a lot more to come on that and the Saturn and Satan series. And I got some more videos I'm gonna put on YouTube to connect everything. But I want to thank you guys for watching and taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see you guys next video.